I don't know what this generation is all about.
I don't either.
It's a whole new thing.
Well, they're fragile. They're hothouse plants.
Well, what about misinformed?
They were raised wrong.
What about misinformed? What about not having...
Some of it is not their fault, of course.
What about not having a sense of history?
Right. No, absolutely. You're so right. They do not know anything.
He actually doesn't like the fact that young people are more informed and can cut through the BS on the propaganda that tends to favor, regardless of what its government carries out.
Billy D. Williams recently appeared on Bill Maher's podcast Club Random, and the consequences have been nothing short of extraordinary. Ana Kasparian and Cenk Uygur from the Young Turks delivered a sharp and unexpected critique of Maher, especially considering their once shared ideological background. Kasparian and Maher were previously aligned with progressive orthodoxy and had strong connections to the woke left. For years, they seemed locked into this worldview, repeating familiar narratives without question and showing no signs of deviation. Though Maher has gradually moved away from some far-left positions, his old allies are now turning on him. This time, Kasparian and Uygur attacked Maher for his recent remarks about young people in his Club Random episode, calling him reactionary and out of touch. Many of the stances Ana Kasparian once defended are now being challenged by her own evolving views. Uygur, likely influenced by her ideological shift, appears to be adopting a similar position. This clash highlights an intriguing shift in the progressive space, where former allies are now at odds as the lines of belief continue to blur. Kasparian now portrays herself as a critic of the extreme left, while still claiming her progressive identity.
I mean, we're talking about this generation? I don't know what this generation is all about.
I don't either.
It's a whole new thing.
Well, they're fragile. They're hothouse plants.
What about misinformed?
They were raised wrong.
What about misinformed? What about not having...
Some of it is not their fault, of course.
What about not having a sense of history?
Right. No, absolutely. You're so right. They do not know anything.
I mean, what would older men who seem to have all the privilege in the world be if they weren't crapping on young people in America, right? So Bill Maher was recently having a discussion with actor Billy D. Williams on his podcast. If you're unfamiliar with Williams, he's a Star Wars actor. And Maher decided to call young people houseplants. Hey, don't laugh at me, okay? I totally knew that, and I didn't have to look it up or be informed about Williams and what he started.
No, she didn't.
No, totally knew. Yeah. Anyway, so they're having a conversation.
Lando Calrissian from the original Star Wars trilogy, Billy D. Williams, is a cinematic legend. And despite the newer Star Wars entries, being forgettable to many, his legacy remains untouched. Williams's coolness and charisma made him one of the most iconic figures in movie history. It's honestly surprising that Ana Kasparian doesn't seem to acknowledge how significant Billy D. Williams is in popular culture, even if she's distancing herself from the far left.
About what seems like increasingly strained relationships between Black and Jewish Americans, and that led to a discussion about how young people are supposedly misinformed, but pay close attention to the examples he uses to make his argument. Take a look.
They do not know anything, but it's not their fault because, it's not the responsibility of the child to instruct themselves. I never had to worry about that. Kids today know nothing. They know you don't have to know anything, and they will sign that diploma and kick you out the door if you even finish it. It's criminal. Yes, they don't know anything, but it doesn't sap their confidence in still opining on everything as if they did know something, like about Gaza, stuff like that.
When you ask people, especially younger individuals, why they hold such strong opinions on complicated geopolitical topics like the Middle East, most don't offer clear answers. Their perspectives are often regurgitated from media personalities, influencers, or even inherited from their parents. Bill Maher is embracing that grumpy old man persona now, and perhaps that's what he's trying to call out. He may sound cranky, but that doesn't necessarily make him wrong. We've all seen the "get off my lawn" archetype before. So maybe it's worth hearing him out to determine whether there's more substance to his argument beyond just the gruff tone.
Maher doesn't like the fact that young people are more critical of Israel than older people. That young people haven't bought into some of the brainwashing that makes Israel appear to be innocent 100% of the time and Palestinians guilty 100% of the time. And so, yeah, I would actually venture to say that on that particular issue, he actually doesn't like the fact that young people are more informed and can cut through the BS on the propaganda that tends to favor Israel regardless of what its government carries.
There's definitely some truth in that. While many college students still lack a solid grasp of the issues they passionately support, it's encouraging that some young people are starting to see through the propaganda being fed to them. Still, it's painfully obvious how uninformed many of them are. We've all seen protest signs and memes like Gays for Palestine that show a lack of deep understanding. Their activism often stems from peer influence rather than independent research or critical thinking. On campuses, supporting Palestine has become a trendy identity marker. So students join protests, carry signs, and chant slogans without fully grasping the complex situation. This is where the discussion gets interesting. Let's be real. Many young activists are too shallow to confront deeper structural issues like media bias or the suppression of dissent. I might agree with them, and even with Ana Kasparian, when they criticize Israel's policies or its PR tactics. For example, if someone points out how criticizing Israel in the US can cost journalists their jobs, some activists might switch sides depending on what's currently trendy in their circles. The fact that Israel and Palestine are at war is the only reason we might share common ground on this issue right now. In reality, most of these activists are not free thinkers. They're heavily influenced by trends and groupthink, driven more by the desire to fit in than by any principled stance. These same activists could very easily end up on the opposite side of the debate from Kasparian, you and me. I guarantee.
He's conflating two totally different issues. You might be surprised to hear that I kind of agree with him on one of the issues.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, but definitely not both. So what do I mean?
You're getting up there in age. So maybe that's what it is. I'm just kidding.
Okay, so he says young people know nothing. They can get a diploma for, just showing up. Wait. The part about the diploma is unfortunately a little bit true.
It is, yeah. I agree with you on
and so that's the part I agree with. And that's not because young people suck. It's because we devastated funding for public schools.
No, I disagree. I think what he's referring to colleges, right?
I thought he was referring to high schools, but even if he's referring to colleges, that's a little bit more of a mixed bag. I mean, it's not like people that go to these elite colleges know nothing, but are they, on average, way more left wing? Yes, that's true. And that's a third issue. That's a different issue.
That's a separate concern. My biggest issue isn't just that many college grads are unprepared for real life. It's that the institution itself fails them. I'm not even just talking about the leftist leanings on campus. I never went to college because I believe it's mostly a waste of time unless you're pursuing a specialized field like STEM, medicine, or law. But I've seen it firsthand with friends who did attend. They may have degrees and understand complex theories or equations they'll never use, yet they lack basic real-world skills. In my view, college is a massive waste of money and time, unless there's a clear practical career path requiring a degree. On top of that, universities today feel more like ideological echo chambers pushing trendy woke narratives than institutions, teaching genuine critical thinking. Many students leave college with a false sense of intellectual superiority, believing their degree means they know everything. But once they step into the real world, they quickly realize how much they still have to learn.